Everyone dreams about living an uncommon life, but how we define that dream is very different for each of us. And for most, it's a lifelong pursuit. Welcome to the Uncommon Life Project podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living that life or enjoying the journey to get there. We're going to also give you some tools, tricks, and tips for starting or accelerating your own efforts to live an uncommon life, a life worth celebrating and savoring. Please welcome your hosts, Bryan Dewhurst and Phillip Ramsey.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Life Project where I'm your host, Phillip Ramsey.
I am Bryan Dewhurst.
And
Arron Kramer.
Oh my goodness, we got 3 microphones in one room because we got some fun things to talk about. Well, welcome, Arron.
Thanks. It was fun.
You've done podcasts with me before, but we've never done a 3.
We've never done the trio.
The trio. I feel like we should start harmonizing. Okay, here's what we're going to talk about. I had a friend, shout out to Alan Hahn. He wants to start a podcast. All he wants to do is talk about challenges that people have faced. And I was like, that is so brilliant. I think we all should get in a room, talk about the challenges that we've had in our lives, what we learned from them, who helped us through it, and like how that we are benefiting from it because trials produce endurance and character. That's biblical. We've always said that. And in Uncommon Life, or Uncommon Wealth, I should say, we see a lot of people who go through trials and come out stronger than they ever have been. So I thought it would be fun, hit record, talk about some trials in our life, what we've learned now. And why wouldn't we all 3 do it? Come on. I think it's great. It's vulnerability to its finest. You know us, Uncommon Wealth. That's what we're all about. So, okay, who wants to start? What comments do you want to start with? You don't need to say the first trial, but like,
I know the common,
levels?
comment I want to make, because I love this stuff, like wholeheartedly. But I will sit there and say, my personality, you guys can disagree with me. Like, I love seeing all these self-help stuff that's going on. But you see like these comments like, oh, you know, like if you're under pressure, it creates a diamond. You're going to be a diamond. You're going to do these things. And as we get into these subjects and as we share our stories, like, please note, you're never a diamond. Okay, you're never shiny, like when you get through the, like walking through the fire, like, no, you still are like, you're not a diamond until like, you know, you're at the pearly gates and God says, you are a diamond. Ooh. Okay, now I'm a diamond.
All right.
While you're walking the earth, you're not a diamond.
Right.
You're just working because it's constant work.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Yeah.
The diamond gets made from the polishing, the cutting, you know. At the end, there's still a lot to go to buy a purchased
Good.
diamond.
Yeah, exactly.
You might be a diamond, an uncut diamond,
Yeah.
but you're not a cut diamond.
Yeah.
And we aren't either.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's going to start out? I think, Arron, you have a good one. I definitely could start. Brian's super excited about this topic.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I can start.
All right.
Well, okay, so my biggest challenge goes into like 2 things. I have a lot of them, but like the ones I feel like I'll share are like growing up. Let's take it back. I just officially got diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD because, you know, for tests aren't easy. And we always have tests in our industry.
Yep.
But so I didn't know this for a long time, but so growing up in school and stuff, that wasn't fun. So, you know, we all know how kids can be.
Right. Not knowing that you might have something that a learning disability.
Yeah.
They would just call you
Stupid.
right.
You know, I mean, it's what it is. It's like to the point where like you grow up and you're like, yeah, I'm stupid. So, and you think this because you get told something long enough and you get enough affirmation because like you're going through school and school's not exactly designed for the way you think.
Right. And
work.
kids are mean.
Yeah, and kids are mean. And when you're a big kid, guess what? You can't ever fight back. So, I mean, I remember multiple times you get made fun of. Finally, you blow up, and then it's like you're going to the principal's office, and you're like, "That wasn't my fault." It's like you're bigger. You should have known better. I'm like, words do hurt.
Right.
So, but anyways, so through that, I found my passion like to be in sports because sports were my outlet in the sense of like I got made fun of a lot. So like in
I'm going
seventh,
to dominate you.
yeah, I mean seventh grade, I handed out a lot of concussions and broken bones.
In what sport?
Football.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh, guess what? Now I don't get in trouble for hurting people.
Yeah.
So like all your aggression gets out. So like sports became my like identity full on. Like this is who I am. And you know, as you get going further in high school, it's like now you found your sport. Mine was wrestling. So if you'd ever asked me, like, Aaron, describe yourself, I'm a wrestler.
Right.
So my identity came through my physical abilities and what I could provide physically. And I wrestled in college. Going through college, next thing I know, college is over because, there's no professional wrestling. And I was not that good, even if there was. So that wasn't going to happen. And so I lost myself. I was like, who am I? If someone asked me, like, Aaron, who are you? I was like,
It's a great.
I don't know.
Great question.
Yeah, so
Any ideas?
yeah, I got super depressed. Like I ran to wanting to be a cop because again, I was thinking my physicalness, like I could use my physicalness to help protect people.
Right.
Ran to that door was not opening. Like God did not want that to happen, and for good reasons. But but I didn't feel like I was smart enough to do anything else. Like I just had my physical ability.
Let's go back to mean kids at school.
Yeah.
Like, were you ever like what age were you? Younger, like younger. Like what grade? Do you remember? Like when it was like something that you consciously like, I don't want to go to school.
Oh no, I got held back in third grade.
Okay.
So I had to do third grade twice.
Yeah.
And so I was at a Christian school, and I realized when my frustrations came out learning like spelling tests because when you're dyslexic and stuff and dysgraphia, like yeah.
Preach it.
So the one word that's pretty easily sound audible is the F word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that all the way down my list.
Okay.
I got sent to the principal's office.
Right.
I got beat when I got home.
Can we just talk about this quick? Since you got held back at third grade,
Yeah.
do you feel like you're better being held back now? Or like the day and age right now in schools, it's like, oh no, you can't do that. They're going to fourth grade. They're going to fifth grade. And maybe they shouldn't have never done that. So in your perspective, since you were held back,
Yeah.
and now I think there's some people who just keep going because that's what they do.
Yeah.
What do you think is more damaging?
I think it's more damaging to hold someone back.
Okay.
Because like you see all your friends go to the next grade. And then you're sitting back and you got held back. So now it is relevant to everybody.
Right.
You're behind.
Right.
And
right.
so you're like, oh. So where you just keep going with your grade, but the school can provide help, off to the side.
Right.
And what you're struggling with. And that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
And then how did your parents help you process like when you're doing third grade again?
They're as supportive as they could be. Like my parents were young, so it's kind of like, all right, this is what we got to do.
Right.
And they homeschooled me for like the first few years, so that didn't help at all either.
Okay.
So like I'm not like, so I know when people talk about homeschool, like everyone do what they want to do. Because of my learning disabilities,
it
didn't work well for me. So I'm like, no, because I was like held way, like I had my learning disabilities, and then I was like way farther back.
Right.
But
you jumped into the public school?
Yeah.
Or private school or whatever school?
Private school and then public school.
Okay.
Because my private school, they didn't have like a resource room. That's why I got held back.
Okay. So then you ended up pouring into your physical, like athleticism, because you were going to overcompensate from that feeling of feeling stupid.
Yeah. So I felt like, because I started, you start feeling important to your friends and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When you can dominate and help the sports teams,
Right.
instead of like when you feel useless all day. And even teachers treat you different.
Right.
It's funny too, because like even in school, my kids right now doing well at the school, but like they don't want people to know they're doing well at school. But
Right.
in sports, it's like idolized. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we're doing really good in sports.
Yeah.
Huh. It's interesting.
So
It's funny because now that I know you, like you can tell why you're such a protector. Like if you see somebody getting picked on, that's where you'll use your weight. Like, you stop it right now. You shut that down.
it hurts. Like people don't understand what bullying does, and stuff like that. So like, yeah, you get a little extra passionate about it when you've been through it, and nobody's there to stand up for you because nobody stood up for me.
Right.
I take that back. My resource teacher, Lisa Hoffman, like I give her a shout out if she ever hears this.
Whoop whoop, Lisa.
Like she was the first one I saw. She's this tiny little lady, and then she heard people calling me stupid. And I know I sat down in the room. I was just kind of head down because you just feel defeated because like you can't do anything about it. Man, that little lady just ran out that room and just like went to go like, dig into those people, and you're like, oh my gosh! Like, I even get a little emotional thinking about it. I was like, you just stood up for me. Like no one's done that before. They're always just like, toughen it up. And it's like, okay, that's all I can do. Toughen it up. So
Yeah.
Okay, I want one last question, then I want to move on to Bryan or me. I guess.
You.
How has the trial positively, what is it? Positively, thank you, Brian, affected you in your career today?
So,
Or in your life. You can go to life, not just career.
yeah, life and career, I guess here it goes together because like I feel like our careers that we choose.
It's our life.
Is our life. Like I have this like, it could probably be described as unhealthy, but it works in our favor. Like to keep learning. Like, and also then finding out that like the way your brain works with dyslexia, like we think in like a 3D way. So it takes us longer to get to the end of the path. But by the time we get there, we've thought about it in like 100 different ways. So we understand things different. So you start realizing and believing, and you get like, oh, this is a blessing. Mm-hmm. The first 12 years of school sucked, but beyond that, it starts becoming a blessing, and you never wanting to ever feel that like not knowing something. So you read books, you like constantly learn, and won't stop learning because like I don't ever want to feel stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is
Hot
like
mic.
counseling. Hot mic. Is it me?
Yeah, I think
All
it's you.
All right, I'm going to talk about probably the first time that I think I hit adversity in my life. And I've hit many other walls, but this is the first one that like brick walled me. You know, like, what? Like the life isn't revolving around me. And anyway, it was sports. It was football, actually. Loved football. My dad's a great football player. I watched him growing up playing flag football.
The Silver Fox is real.
The Silver Fox is real. And so watching him perform and compete at such a high level, it was just kind of ingrained in me. Like I wanted to do that. And so junior high, my 7th grade year, I remember coming in. Well, I should probably back up and say started flag football in Ankeny, Iowa, of all places. So I lived here for a while. My parents had a house on old Ulamar Drive, and they had this special thing where I think they were probably afraid of football, candidly. So you would go full pads and you would play flag football. So for my 1st grade year, I had full pads on, helmets, mouthpieces. Like we just looked like little helmets out there, shoulder pads, knee pads, all the deal. And then we played flag football. It was super weird. Anyway, I just never was that good at it, just like a fish out of water, kind of. And then my 5th grade year, my parents built a house in Altoona, Iowa. And so I go there, and then I start playing flag football out there because that's what they had in Altoona, and the Southeast Polk kind of district had flag football. So I shedded my pads and went into flag football. And I remember like, oh, I like this sport. Like I can kind of throw it better and blah, blah, blah. So that was my 5th and 6th grade year, I think. Yeah. And then I go to junior high. So now we're in 7th grade, and now guess what they have?
Pads.
Tackle football, right? And they had lightweights and heavyweights. I was a lightweight back then, and I put the pads on, which you have to remember. I've been in pads since 1st grade, shedded them for 2 years. Now the pads come back on, and this is the first time many of them have ever had pads. So I was like, oh, and I was blowing people up just because I was used to my equipment.
Yeah.
That makes sense, which gave me confidence, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember being on the lightweight, and I'd be the quarterback, and I had a good friend, Mario, and it was just like, okay, things are starting to happen. And then we go to our 8th grade year, same, like really, really just solid program, doing pretty well, have good friends. And I remember the high school coach came down, and he looked straight at me and our team. He's like, you guys have potential. And I thought, oh, we're going to do it. You know, like this is it. This is my calling. I'm going to be an NFL football player. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
My dad gets transferred to Sioux City the next like summer, so we're out. Like, okay, so we go to Sioux City.
Far different than Altoona.
Oh man, far different. This isn't what I'm going to talk about, but the first day at school, my middle school, I get beat up.
Oh no.
Welcome.
Beat up. Yeah, welcome. And I had like a polo and like khakis on. Like I'm not a gangster, you know. Like,
Yeah.
You're throwing up gang signs. And I remember him punching me. Like, what? Like, what's happening? Rough go at it. Okay. So didn't get to play that, but my sister was a senior at that point. No, she was a junior, and she transferred to the high school. And everybody loved my sister. I was the 8th grader getting beat up and hating my life. And I remember my parents just like working through that stuff. Anyway, so we get out, and then I have no friends. After my 8th grade year, right before high school, but my sister's like probably one of the most popular people in high school. Now she's going to be a senior. I'm going to be a freshman. And so I think she just felt bad for me. So she's like, just to have my friends adopt you, like they'll be your friends now. So the first day of freshman orientation, I remember the 8th grade class who are now freshmen are looking at me like, that's the kid who got beat up. And then all the seniors come in. They're like, hey, Phillip, because I've been hanging out with them for the whole summer. I didn't have anybody else to hang out with. And I remember it being like, oh, like maybe he's cool, Anyway, so we start playing football my freshman year, and I remember having like a lights out game, you guys. Like, I'll be honest with you, I was throwing up prayers. They were getting caught for 80-yard touchdowns. I think it was like a 400-yard touchdown, 6 touchdowns there, $400 yard passing, 6 touchdowns, something ridiculous. Yeah. And like, I'm not that good, to be honest with you, but everybody else thought I was. And so it gave me confidence, right?
Good receiver goes a long ways.
Exactly. Yeah. So sophomore year, similar, and I got to suit up for varsity football, which is a pretty big deal, right? And the Sioux City West was not good up to this point, and for some reason we got to go to the playoffs. In the playoffs, we go to play West Des Moines Dowling at Morningside for the playoffs.
Big game.
And like,
everybody
again,
wants to be
Sioux City West is like, who are they again? Like, I've never seen them be good at all. And this year we ended up being decent. So we go out in the field. It was this college field that we were on. And again, I'm just a sophomore. And I remember like coming back in the locker room, like, these guys are the biggest guys I've ever seen. Like, where did they recruit these guys? Like, they're from college. Anyway, we end up beating them. And I remember thinking, like, how in the world did we beat them? And I didn't play at all, for the record. I'm only on the sideline. And so the next year I get transferred to Dowling High School because my parents get moved back to West Des Moines for my dad's job. Okay. So I get like a front row seat of like, how did we beat them? Anyway, long story short, they had all technical ability. All Sioux City West had was heart. And the reason why we beat them is because we had heart, no technical ability, but it just seemed like we care. Like our arms were hanging off our shoulder, like we're going to win,
Yeah.
And so I go to Sioux City, and that was the first time, like, I'm not playing not even a snap. And the coach's son was a year younger than me, and then he had a really good friend that was a quarterback. And so that junior started playing when I was a senior, which killed me. Mm. And I remember just being devastated and thinking like, oh, I can overwork this. Like I can do better, And the coach even brought me in. He was like, hey, if we had our first game tomorrow, Matt McCree would play. And I'm like, what? Like, Matt McCree's been playing baseball all these summers when we're doing 3-a-days, and he would still play over me. And in my mind back then, it was like, well, I'll just work harder, Right. Anyway, so I feel like that was the first time I hit adversity where, like, it's not going to go your way. Mm-hmm. And it was like the door shut. And there was no, like, openings, which was hard to comprehend. Like, that was me, Anyway, long story short, I never played another down in high school, really any. And that was when my tackle football career was over. And it devastated me. And I would say it devastated my parents just watching their son go through this, because it was an outlet that I used to have that kind of shut down. And man, to this day, I am so grateful that I did not keep playing. And when I left Southeast Polk, that was when Kyle Orton took over and started playing, and he was a grade under me. So Kyle Orton had a great NFL career, by the way. Played at Purdue.
Oh, yeah. He played everywhere.
And I remember the first time I saw him on Monday Night Football, his face, I was like, are you kidding me? And like the bitterness, like I could have been that. But like, guys, for the record, I couldn't be that. But, you just think
I've seen you play. You're a good quarterback.
I like to play, but not that good. But I'm so grateful thinking of like all the hits you could have taken
man. It makes you appreciate some of these guys.
It makes you appreciate it. Right. And so that was probably my first time of hitting that adversity, and then also seeing like the positive things that can come out of it, and knowing that I probably don't know my best path forward. And if I were to write my story, I would have been such a spoiled little kid.
Yeah, but like, how long did it take you to see those like benefits from it?
A long time. Yeah. Yeah. Even when I saw his probably. Even when I saw his face on, because I thought I would process through it and like, I guess I'm kind of grateful. And then I saw his face on Monday Night Football, and I'm
I'm not over it.
I'm not over it.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset. So,
honey, are you seeing this?
Yeah. Anyway, that was one. And man, even to this day, I'm super grateful. I probably would never met my wife, should not have my kids. You know, like it was just a whole different trajectory. So
It's interesting that both of you had kind of
Sports.
the sports physical related challenges. I won't share mine with sports.
Bryan was a pretty good pitcher. I would say that. That's where he's alluding to.
Yeah, who knows? But are you done or is that?
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
To this day, Phillip still plays flag football with his dad, by the way.
Right.
And they're a nasty combo. There's a lot of people with losses in their ledger to the Ramsey duo. So,
Oh man,
that's great. Fun to watch. I've been thinking about what challenges to talk about. I think a lot of people know that I'm divorced, and so I think that's an obvious one. But the one I think I kind of want to talk about is actually one that Arron kind of helped me see. So I'm gonna go in a different direction. But,
do it.
So when I got into this business, I always knew I wanted to be in this business from like probably 12 or 13 years old. My mom is still in this business, more on the operational side. And I've always had a fascination with numbers. I've just always been around this business. So it was very clear at a very young age that this is what I wanted to do. And, I started in the business. I quit my safe job in consulting in December of 2008. There may or may not have been a Great Depression in December of 2008. So starting in that was actually probably the best time to get started because everything was upended. But it was like early on, I think 2 or 3 weeks in, my ex-wife's father passes away abruptly. And so, you kind of take a few weeks off of work to like work through that, lead your family through that and provide. And, going from like a day job of salary and all of that and benefits and cash flow to this business, which is like 100% commission. And I wasn't with like a principal I was with some just dudes, and I got into a situation where I thought I was going to get more referrals and leads and there's going to be some partnering there. And it wasn't. It was like an empty office. And man,
desk.
As much as we want to say like we're financial advisors or wealth managers or all these other buzzwords, we're in sales.
All right.
And you have to know how to dial the phone. You have to know how to build rapport. You have to know how to do all these things. And I was not good at that. Still, I don't really think that I am good at that. And so early on, I ended up going and working for someone because I was like, I got to get a job. This isn't working. Like the writing is on the wall that this isn't going to happen in the current state of things. And so in that, it was, really a growth moment. I think back to my one thing I'll talk about in sports. I played tennis, so I didn't have the prowess on the football field.
And you were a pitcher. You were a pitcher.
So, but for the most part, my tennis career was more illustrious, I guess, than my baseball career. But my singles record was like 500. Well, in tennis, you get to play both. You get to play singles and you get to play doubles. It was kind of fun. My doubles record, like with my partner, we were killing it. We were like 800. We went to state and did all that. But so I've always been a team guy. And this business is lonely. I mean, it is lonely. I mean, you want to talk about a challenge, be a financial advisor by yourself. I don't even care if you're with like Edward Jones or one of these other companies.
Lonely.
If you're just out on your own, like it is lonely.
Right.
And so, I think, kind of fast forward, I switched firms trying to get out on my own. Same thing happened, really it's kind of a part of a team. It wasn't going the way I kind of thought it was going to go. And again, it was just like, I'm on monster.com. And that's when Phillip and I met. And I think, kind of the way that I finally realized it was like, I don't really have what it takes to build this business by myself. And that's where I think we found each other and we cover each other's gaps really well, but our strengths are ultimately, I think, what, we built our business on. And so I think, that humility or that understanding or that self-awareness to be like, I can't do this by myself. Maybe even more importantly, I don't really want to. Like, it is a difficult business to be in. And I always wanted to be a part of a team and build a team and, do those types of things and do this business with a group of people because I think ultimately that is the best way you build the service or the product, so to speak, is a team. And so I think that was just the biggest challenge. One of the biggest challenges in my life was just trying to get established in this business and coming to the realization of like, you can't do this by yourself. And, but then now seeing the fruit of that and seeing the humility of like laying that down, what God's given us and what he's done through us in this last 10 years has been, humbling. So
crazy. Cause I remember like you would always say, especially when earlier in our partnership, how like you grew up around the kitchen table and there was basically 3 topics. There was insurance, there was banking, and there was investments.
Yeah.
And how you can see kind of the correlation of all of that. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's amazing. Because, I am not that guy.
Yeah. So it was a perfect intersection, I think. And, but yeah, I mean, several years, I think I started in 2008 and we didn't join forces until July of 2012. So it was like, 3.5 years in the desert, getting established in this business. And so, that's what I think to, your point, Aaron, of like, there is so much stuff right now that I think is motivating or uplifting, but it's just like, you're still going to be a rough stone.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I agree. I think once we get to heaven, maybe we're more of a fine cut diamond, but
let me ask you this in lieu of that. Do you feel like it's getting easier to walk through trials or harder as the older you get?
That's a tricky question because I feel like so this is my belief. I feel like God puts us through trials to make us stronger, make us better warriors, and like they're harder. They don't ever get easier. They're much hard. They may see like your first trial, like, oh my gosh, that almost broke me. You get stronger, and you keep getting stronger for every trial you get through. But like, so every trial he puts you through, it's like, it doesn't seem like it's getting easier, but that's why I think it's so important to look backwards. And you're like, wait, hold on. There's no way I could have done this trial without all these other trials. Like this would have broke me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for it. So I don't think they get easier. I think they get harder. It's just that you're stronger.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Or they have to be bigger because you're just that. Like you just need that kind of influence to like break you down and learn something.
Like financially, I think some trials are obviously easier to go through just because you have more resources or you have more wisdom, and so maybe like some facets of it, I think it's easier. But I think sometimes there's just more at stake,
right?
And as our kids get older, and they're driving and doing things, and as the business gets bigger, your relationships get longer, those things. It just seems like there's more at stake,
right? Right.
So I think that was definitely one of the advantages of divorce, of like you kind of go through almost a worst case scenario. Like, they say disability is a lot worse than death because you're still here. And I think that, a lot of that applies to divorce of like, it's like ripping plywood apart. Like you're never putting that back together.
It's going to get bloody. It's going to get bloody. It's going to hurt. And it's never going back together.
And so when you lose so much and you go through that, but you're still here and you got to work through it, you experience that loss, and it does help you, I think, I don't know what the word is. It's certainly painful, but like you're still standing.
Right.
You got to get back up.
Right.
More callous. Like, I know, like David Goggins, I don't know if you guys know who he is.
Yeah, I've been watching him.
Yeah, he's like amazing. Man crush on that guy for how like mentally strong he is. But like he always talk about getting calloused. Like you guys, you're creating scars, but scars are stronger and tougher than regular skin. So yeah. Cause like for your story, like I can relate more because we're all, financial advisors here. It's like for yours, like you look at everybody in our industry and like most like, so they're an alpha person, an alpha woman or alpha man.
Right.
And like for you to be able to step back and say, no, I need a team. Like because we see so many people do this by themselves.
Oh yeah.
And then they might build a team underneath them, but they were the alpha, they're the alpha in the group. But for you to sit there and say like, no, I got to go find a co-alpha to alpha this.
Yeah.
Like that takes for us men.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of emotional strength to sit there and say like, I'm not fully good enough. I need someone to compliment me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that takes a lot of, I don't know. That's like my tip my hat off to you for that.
No, I appreciate it.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's funny because when you look back at your life, which ones have made you more of who you are today? Your good experiences or your bad experiences? And I would say for me, for sure, it's the bad experiences.
Yeah.
Working through those and trying to like process through. Parenting is one of those things. I'm glad you said it. It's just tough. Like fake it till you make it is that whole verbiage is because of parenting. Like, I hope we do it right.
I know. That's why I'm glad, like, I always kind of joke around because we only have one. I'm like, you got what you got. Like, there was like, we didn't get to like learn and then do it better for the second one. It's like, Here we are. This is the first trial and the only trial.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I do think as a parent, I think sometimes the hardest thing for my child or let him do is just let him fail. Like, I mean, oh man, like I've seen it. I know that path goes down and like, please don't do that. But it's almost like just as powerful to like let them fail.
Yeah.
And it's probably the hardest thing is parenting is just let them process through it because that's who made us. It still sucks.
It's so hard. I mean, like, shows you like it kind of makes you appreciate our parents more, like because like they let us go through that. Like they didn't do anything. It was like I know what I would do for my daughter, like and things like that. But it's like then you look back, it's like, oh my gosh, like for my parents, it's like just sit back and not done anything.
Right.
It's like that takes way more strength.
Yeah, I
agree.
A video. This daughter was trying to prank her dad, and one of these audios, and she calls him, and she typed it into like a Google thing, and it's basically like, hey, your daughter's at this county jail, will you accept this call? And there's just this long pause, and he's like, nope. But I think some of the parenting stuff I've read, like that's kind of the approach you have to take.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like Jordan Peterson. I keep seeing this thing, like you gotta like put your kids in dangerous situations, safe danger situations.
Right. Interesting.
It's like, like it's safe, but like they have to have the ability to be able to get hurt, take a risk, and learn that like, hey, you have the ability to like overcome. You have the ability to like take a risk, and then you might get hurt, but to get back up and do it again.
And I'm not trying to like point any blame, but helicopter parents, seems like their kids go to college. It's like the wheels have come off. There's no more helicopter.
Yeah, like helicopter, and then like with the lawnmower parent, they call it, like they mow the path in front of the kid. And so, like, they take care of they take out all the challenges and anything in front of them. And then, so, like, as soon as they have something go wrong, they're like,
breaks them.
Where's mom and dad?
Yeah, their ability to handle adversity is low.
Yeah.
Or non existent.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this is just fun to riff on this for a while. If you are resonating with this and you're in a trial now, we want to just say, like, hang on. Like, there is a reason, and I think that you're going to be better for it going through the other side. And I feel like we're all kind of in some kind of trial. Like, our lives aren't perfect, like you said, Aaron, at the beginning. And so
I want to speak in too. I think, financially, if you're in a trial or you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be. I mean, a lot of times we get the question and, getting to know you more, Aaron, in this profession, I'm sure you've gotten the question, but we have so many people that ask us like, hey, for my age, like, am I doing okay? Or like, how am I compared to other people? And obviously in this social media time, I think there's so much comparison where it feels like, oh, I'm the only person going through something right now, which couldn't be further from the truth. But just to empower you too, financially, like there's so much you can do in a year, 2 years, 3 years financially, I want to say even get back on track, but to like remedy maybe what's going on in your life. And so anyways, if you want to talk about that and help with that, we're here for that too.
Yeah. I want to tip off of that a little bit because I just like read a book and I love this. Like everyone always thinks like you look on social media, everyone's doing so great. Like, oh, that person's like, they're just doing so good. They're killing it. And I will tell you, and if you ever reach out to us, I'll tell you the book to read and stuff. But statistically, I'm talking like 80% of the time, the people that you think have money don't. Right. They're up to debt in their eyeballs. And as soon as their paycheck gets stopped, they lost their job or something, they're losing everything. The person that you see in the common street walking down the mall, they're just wearing their common Hanes t-shirt, Levi jeans, and grungy boots. Yeah. You're thinking like, oh, that guy's probably roughing it. He probably has way more money in the bank than you could ever even imagine.
It's good.
Yeah.
So like, I'm on social media. I'm guilty of it. I always scrolling all the time, but don't be getting down on yourself on your success because the people. Yeah.
Shame is like the number one thing to just eat your life away. Yeah. Like shame is never good. Yeah. So don't stay there. That's what we're all saying.
But keep fighting through the hard times if you are. Like you get stronger, keep building, and like know that like you're not alone. Find a good people that pick you up. Because I know, especially for like you men out there that are listening, like it is okay to feel broken. Like just find other good, healthy men to help lift you up,
Right.
and keep you up. Like it's okay. Get emotionally stronger. Like I feel like us
Get
men
connected. Get connected.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Well, you've been listening to the Uncommon Life Project. I've been your host, Phillip Ramsey.
I'm Bryan Dewhurst.
Aaron Kramer.
Oh, man, I love it. All right. Until next time, go be uncommon. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
everybody.
Thanks.
That's all for this episode of the Uncommon Life Project, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.